Well, good Thursday morning. Still holding on to some sunshine across South Central. We've seen a dry frontal passage across the region, and that's already ushering in some gusty winds. And we're talking about some colder weather heading our way as we welcome in the weekend. This is a live look outside. You can see Anchorage in the background. Just a few high-level clouds still with us this morning into the afternoon hours, and we're going to hold on to some sunshine really for the foreseeable future. Not seeing any significant impacts across South Central into the weekend and the first part of the next week outside of that chance of those colder conditions heading our way. These are the current wind chills across the state. You can see it feels like 2 below in Ukqiavik, 18 in Unalakleet, 12 degrees in Fairbanks. Meanwhile, from the Aleutians to southeast, temperatures fairly mild, not much in the way of a wind chill, but that colder air is continuing to surge south, and we're really going to feel it as we welcome in the coming days. For today, we're talking about highs warming into the upper 30s and the lower 40s. You can see those wind chills as a result of those breezy winds will stay below freezing all day long. By 6 p.m. already dropping into the 20s, and by 9 p.m. we've got a wind chill sitting right around 23 degrees. So this is what's going on across the state. We've got an area of low pressure. That's the remnants of that typhoon that has been impacting southeast, and rainfall amounts have been pretty different across a large portion of the panhandle. From areas through the northern interchannels, we're talking about only 2 inches of rain over the past few days, while as you head further south to Ketchikan, they've seen upwards of 8 inches of rainfall, and we're still seeing some areas where minor flooding looks possible with that rain tapering off through the day. But mainland Alaska as a whole, not much going on. With that said, we are seeing some winter weather advisories that will impact parts of the interior as well as out towards Prudhoe Bay along the Dalton Highway, and then along the Beaufort Seacoast we have a blizzard warning. Now, most of that is for tomorrow into Saturday. However, out towards the interior, just north of the Middle Tanana Valley, that winter weather advisory is from today through tomorrow morning, and of course southeast is still up under that flood watch through the remainder of the day. So just north of the Middle Tanana Valley, we're talking about 1 to 2 inches of snowfall today with winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. Further north along the Dalton Highway, as you get into Prudhoe Bay, we've got up to 4 inches of snow and those winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. That winter weather advisory begins tomorrow and then lasts through Saturday. And then that blizzard warning for the Beaufort Seacoast, that starts tomorrow and lasts through Saturday as well. We're talking about 1 to 2 inches of snow with gusts to 60 miles per hour, and those gusts will lead to limited visibility at times for extreme northeastern parts of the state. Looking at the state as a whole, what we have ongoing across the region is a trough that's digging south through Alaska. Now, accompanying that is a cold front. It was a dry frontal passage that we've been dealing with. We may have seen a few flurries across South Central this morning, but the overall pattern, dry air in place. We've got temperatures in the 30s. We've got those dew points sitting in the teens. It's entirely too dry for any of that moisture to make it to the ground. That's why at best we probably saw some flurries this morning. We really want the difference between the temperature and the dew point to be less than 10 degrees for any of that moisture to make it to the ground. So looking at the upper level temperature, several thousand feet above the surface, we're talking about this cold air. Now, the good news is, if you're not ready for that bitter, bitter cold, the good news is the cold air is locked in place to the north. We're just getting a taste of it as we welcome in the coming days. That's quickly going to shift to the east as we begin to see a ridge build into the Bering as we close the door on this week and welcome in the weekend. Now notice by Saturday, the colder air has shifted into Canada, but here in Anchorage as well as southwest Alaska into the interior out towards the Seward Peninsula, we're beginning to see that ridge nose its way into the region, but we're still up under that persistent northwesterly flow. So we're going to continue to remain on the cold side with a warming trend arriving as we welcome in the middle of next week. So this is going to be a very short-lived cold snap, and we're not talking about any significant weather across South Central, Southwest, outside of that snow that we're going to see for parts of the Middle Tanana Valley, as far north as Prudhoe Bay and the Beaufort Seacoast. Even the northwest Arctic Borough expected to see some snow into the evening. We're talking about Kotzebue could see up to an inch, inch and a half of snowfall tonight into early tomorrow morning. But watch what happens as we close the door on Friday and welcome in the weekend. Not much going on across the state. In fact, we'll see clear skies for many, both tonight as well as tomorrow night. We're talking about the KP index for that aurora to be right around a 4 or a 5, possibly a 5. So should be a beautiful opportunity to get outdoors and take a glimpse of that aurora, although it will be a bit on the chilly side here over the next several mornings. Looking ahead, when it comes to our precipitation, even though we are going to be on the cold side, I'll go ahead and tell you little to no chance for seeing rain or snow at all for South Central. That includes Southwest Alaska as well. The only chance for snow is further north. The Aleutians, yes, we'll see some rain showers, more so today. As that area of low pressure pushes south with that ridge building in. We're talking about drier weather for you. Southeast, you'll see that rain stick around through at least early Saturday morning, and then drier weather, sunshine, and cooler conditions make a return for the Panhandle. So for today, we're talking about highs of 28 in Fairbanks, 24 in Ukqiavik, 28 degrees in Kotzebue, and then again, we are talking about that snow increasing into the evening hours. Rain showers for the Aleutians, temperatures on the mild side for both the Aleutians, Kodiak, as well as Southeast, with those temperatures sitting in the 50s. But I did say this was going to be a short-lived cold snap. As we welcome in the latter half of next week, we are going to trend warmer across a good portion of the state. That comes as that ridge begins to build into the Bering, with the cooler conditions likely going to stay in place across Southeast as that trough begins to shift out over Canada. That we'll still see some influence across parts of Alaska, although it's primarily going to impact Southeast. And then looking at that 7-day forecast, there it is, the weekend. We're talking about highs near freezing. Overnight lows in the teens, in the 20s. If you live along the Parks Highway, really north of about Meadow Lakes towards Willow, as you head towards Trapper Creek, Talkeetna, we're talking about the potential for some mornings as we welcome in the weekend to dip into the lower digits, lower teens, if not the upper single digits. Could potentially even see that out towards Ninilchik, Kenai, as well as Soldotna, where we tend to see some of that cold air pooling. But there is that warming trend. You can see by Wednesday of next week, we begin to make a run back near 40. We are going to close out October on a warm note. So this is our first true taste of that colder air, which is the coldest we've seen here in South Central since about April. So get outside today and enjoy that sunshine and the somewhat warmer conditions, because as we welcome in the weekend, that's when that colder air really begins to arrive. We'll have more on that coming up in the noon show. For now, have a good Thursday.